starting the driving part of this review in the convertible 997 Gen 1.5 turbo, which has the Tiptronic box. At the moment I've got the roof up, but at the touch of a button it can be lowered. In fact, I'll do that now so you can see that it works at speed. It puts the windows up as part of that process. So there we go. Now the turbos have 485 horsepower, regardless of whether they got the Tiptronic or the manual gearbox. Gen 1 and Gen 1.5 turbos have 485 horsepower. Loads of torque as well. I don't have the exact figure in my head at the moment, but essentially they have plenty of power even from low down in the rev range, plenty of torque. So actually the Tiptronic box isn't necessarily seen as a disadvantage. In fact, in the original brochures from Porsche, which you can still buy, you can buy them second hand on eBay and places, and I've got a few copies of all the different brochures, they actually accelerate faster than you can pilot with the manual gearbox. Now that doesn't say that it's a more involving drive, far from it. It just means it's more efficient in how it accelerates, how it changes gear. There's less time off the power in the Tiptronic. Of course, a manual gearbox is going to be much more involving as you're accelerating, and the 0.1, 0.2 difference isn't going to be that noticeable behind the wheel. But the other big benefit of the Tiptronic is its ability to be driven very easily in traffic, stop-start traffic. You don't have a clutch to worry about. It's not even to say that the clutch is particularly difficult to drive with. It's not heavy, or not overly heavy, I would say. They do vary slightly from car to car now, but essentially, yeah, there's no sort of driving disadvantage of either car. And then in terms of the convertible, well, the 997 and all 911s were designed to have a roof, so as a result they had to do some strengthening in the chassis to take the roof off. So they are ever so slightly heavier. I think it's around 30 kilos. It's not a huge difference, and you certainly don't notice it in corners or accelerating, braking, or any of those elements. But there is slightly less rigidity around corners. It's not horrific. It doesn't mean that the whole car is rattling and the scuttle is also vibrating as you go over corners, over bumps. But I think there is a little bit more of dynamic capability in the coupe. However, what you gain by taking the roof off, and this is exactly what I've said in my earlier videos reviewing the Boxers versus the Caymans, is that open air driving experience. You can have the windows down, really be a part of the environment you're driving in. You don't necessarily feel like you have to drive as fast to get as much pleasure from driving. To enjoy, now that they're becoming sort of a collectible car you enjoy on a weekend, on a nice day, there is absolutely nothing that would stop you from getting a convertible, other than if you wanted to run it all year round. You park under a particularly bad tree for sap and leaves, but other than that, I mean, I can't think of a real disadvantage. You can get the hardtop even if your car isn't supplied with one. So really, you don't really lose anything. I'll just put it in sport mode. So these cars have sport mode and they have just switchable suspension. I've just turned all of that on, so that it will actually lift. Gen 1, Gen 1.5 and Gen 2s are extremely capable everyday driving cars. They have that extra little bit more composure, they feel that little bit more grown up than the 996s, but they still have that incredible power. And I've left the Tiptronic in auto, and it's very quickly picked up that I want it to hold gears, not change up gears too soon. And that's the great thing of the Tiptronic as well, is it adapts to your driving style on the fly, and essentially doesn't feel, you don't feel like it's getting in the way of you making progress how you want to make progress. It just almost instinctively knows what gear you want to be in. For those times when you do want to determine exactly what gear you want to be in, you've got the paddles, so you've got a plus and minus on both sides, and when you want to put it in full manual mode, you just move the stick across, and then it will basically use the buttons to change gears as you want to. But yeah, automatic mode with manual override is possible as well, and likewise if you kick down on the throttle, it will go straight to the lowest gear it's comfortable in, so you can overtake in as quickly as you need to be and safely. So that's the 997 convertible. I'm now going to get in the 997 coupe and continue this test. Okay, so this is the second part of my 997 turbo comparison video, and I'm now in the manual gearbox 997 Gen 1.5 turbo. This car has the factory short shift kit, so it's very, very direct in the gear change. Very short throw, very precise. It feels beautiful. I'd say they're slightly notchy from cold, so you just need to be aware of that when you start driving a 997. There's nothing wrong with the car, there's nothing wrong with the linkages. First to second in particular, and second to first can be a bit notchy, as can second to third as well. So you have to be a bit mechanically sympathetic. It's a Getrag 6-speed box. It is a beautiful box when warmed up, and yeah, sensational to drive. Immediately after getting out of the Tiptronic, you feel that little bit more involved because you are changing gear. It's not down to whether you're driving faster or slower, it's just purely you are in control of more of the car when you have the manual gearbox car, and that's kind of obvious. The clutch is nice and light, so it doesn't hurt your leg if you were in stop-start traffic. I'd say it's slightly trickier to sort of balance the throttle, especially when cold. It needs a little warming up, it needs to be woken up, go through the heat cycle. And that's one of the things that's really good about these 997s versus the 996 is you have an oil temperature gauge which is to the left of the speedo, so you know when the oil is actually up to temperature, and you want to wait for it to be up to temperature on the oil side, not just the coolant. So that could be in as much as in winter easily sort of 10 miles of driving before the oil temperature is actually where it should be. Now these cars there was a no cost option of the sunroof, so I'll open that now. So you get a bit more light immediately, even with the black interior. You get a bit more light. These are just so hooked to the road. The four-wheel drive system puts between 5 and 40% of torque to the front axle. So in most circumstances, especially on a hot sunny day like today, on good tarmac, it's more or less rear-wheel drive. And it really feels that way. It doesn't feel nose heavy. Obviously you've got the weight of the engine right out the back there. I believe the weight front to rear is 58/42, so 58 to the rear, 42. BMW obviously like the 50-50 weight distribution. Porsche have always had that 40-60 split, and for that, the characteristics of that is it puts more weight over the driven wheels. In a four-wheel drive, obviously, as I've said, it varies from 5 to 40% of torque goes to the front, but basically most of the time it's over those rear wheels, so that's where you want the weight. And as I said, the manual gearbox is the most direct way, the best way you can control all of that power, that 485 horsepower. Is using the clutch, balancing the clutch, throttle, brakes, being in the right gear at the right time. It feels more satisfying when it all comes together really well. So the sunroof's one touch as well, so you just need to press it once and then it will close fully, and you can have it on tilt as well. So it's just the rear of it is open. In coupe form, this car has perfect integrity. You don't ever feel like it's compromised dynamically. It's the way it was designed. And it's very easy to heel and tow. The brake system is progressive, so the initial bite isn't sort of sudden. You have about an inch of travel before the bite really sort of kicks in, and then at that level where the pedal is, where it's coming in, your foot is perfectly in line to roll across to the throttle pedal, so that it's been designed specifically to allow you to heel and tow, and also sort of judge, makes it easy to judge how much braking force you've got. Mid-corner, if you need to apply the brakes, you're not going to apply them too sensitively and overcompensate on the brakes and basically destabilise the car. You've got the ability to sort of judge very easily how much force you apply. There's plenty of feel through. I mean, this road is absolutely shocking for how it tugs at the car, and it's not because of the car, it's the potholes, it's the pits and everything else in the road surface. You get all the communication through the steering wheel, so you never feel like you're not able to judge exactly where the car is. And likewise, because of that high torque figure on these cars, essentially in any gear you can put your foot down and it just kicks in. I'd say that the only thing that's particularly lacking when you compare it to a non-turbocharged 997, 911 is the sound. You get the forced induction sound. You do get the thrum of the engine, but the exhaust is muted because it's essentially channeled through those twin turbo variable vane turbo units. So you've got, it almost muffles the sound of that flat six engine, which is a shame, but it's part of the makeup of the car. Some people do fit aftermarket exhausts and they can improve the sound, but you never have that same raw flat six note which characterises 911s and why people love Porsches so much. On the acoustic side, you can't ever reproduce that on the turbocharged cars. And that's the one thing that I'd say is to be wary of, is you're not going to, if you're moving from a Carrera 2, Carrera S or Carrera 4S of the same era, that's the one thing you'll miss, is the sound of the exhaust and of the engine through that exhaust. But other than that, the performance is on another planet compared to the normally aspirated 911s. It's just bonkers how fast, even as the driver, you feel piloting one of the, and I say piloting because it does feel like you are literally taking off and flying down the road when you put your foot down, and you sort of partially hold on to the wheel to stabilise yourself in the car. So this car has the sports seats, and it has the variable, these are the, I can't remember whether they're 16-way or 18-way adaptive sports seats. So the side bolsters either side of your stomach and also around your thighs, you can vary how much they're positioned inwards, so it can really sort of hold you and tug you and make sure that you don't move around too much in the corners. There's nothing wrong with the comfort seats, there's nothing wrong with the standard sport seats, as it were, the hardback sport seats, but this adaptive side bolsters really sort of adds to the feeling of security behind the wheel, and also as the passenger as well. Likewise, the lumbar support on these seats as well is just fantastic. If you suffer from lower back pain, the lumbar support system was available on both the hardback sport seats, in the adaptive seats that are on this, and also in the comfort seats. If you get the 12-way fully electric comfort seats, you get the lumbar support as well, and they are an absolute godsend if you do suffer from back pain. So it's worth seeking a car with those in if that's going to be an issue for you. Overtaking can be done so quickly that it actually makes it safer driving fast on a B road or an A road, just any single lane road. You can be in and out of the danger area so quickly, and it just feels so natural. It doesn't feel like Widowmaker. It doesn't feel like it's gonna crash into a ball of flames in a ditch somewhere. It feels so safe and composed. As long as you don't take the mickey, it's an incredible place to be at speed. So in summary, I would say that both are phenomenal cars. The convertible is the perfect summer car, roof down, at any speed. It doesn't feel like you're too exposed. It doesn't sort of buffet and the wind doesn't come in your face. It's got a great system of channeling the air over the screen and around you, even with the roof down at speed. The coupe is just dynamically another level. I think it just feels that little bit more tauter, more rigid, so it feels like you can go fast around the corners. With the convertible though, you don't have to drive as fast to feel as excited, I think, behind the wheel. They're both fantastic places to be, and likewise the Tiptronic is a phenomenal box. It doesn't hold the car back, but the manual gearbox for me is the ultimate way to control a 911, particularly a 911 turbo. The torque and power figures of the turbo allow you to get away with feeling the car is driving fast. It is driving fast, and Tiptronic is slightly quicker, as I mentioned, while driving the Tiptronic convertible. But that level of involvement that some people crave in their sort of summer fun and collectible sports car, you're going to need the manual gearbox to get that buzz of feeling like you're really driving the car without any sort of aid from the car itself. And that's where I'd like to leave it. I mean, both are fantastic buys, and you save a little bit by buying a Tiptronic over a manual. And if you are perfectly happy driving without a manual gearbox, if for whatever reason you can't drive a manual gearbox, don't feel like you're getting an inferior car. It's still a fantastic, brilliant car to drive, both in the convertible and the coupe. I hope you enjoyed this comparison video of the 911 turbo, both manual Tiptronic and also convertible and coupe. If you like my videos, please do subscribe, like the video, and also share it. Thanks for watching.